So as these lines between culture, content, and commerce start to blur, brands have an opportunity to do more than simply capture attention. They can create stories that connect with consumers and inspire action. Hi, I'm Gina Ballenger. I lead Lightbox Creative Solutions for Walmart Connect, and I'm here with Amy Lanzi, the CEO of Digitas, and Allison Clarke, the head of general sales for VIZIO. A few years ago, marketers were talking about culture, content, and commerce as three separate disciplines. Today, we're increasingly in the same conversation. And the content people watch shapes culture. And we know that culture shapes what people buy. And commerce is being part of that experience itself. So as these lines between culture, content, and commerce start to blur, brands have an opportunity to do more than simply capture attention. They can create stories that connect with consumers and inspire action. So how has this shift impacted the role brands can and should play in culturally relevant moments today?
It's a wonderful question because commerce and culture and content are also intertwined, to your point. And so brands first, what do you stand for? I think it's important for brands to understand what cultural moments or content that will become cultural waves, if you will. What should they be investing in? Because it makes sense organically for the brand first. And then the second is really understanding how you can be authentically integrated into these moments to move from, discovery to purchase and enable consumers to be able to buy your brand in the moment when they're really excited about you. That's inspired by this magical, connection of culture and content all at once.
It's great.
Yeah, I would say that brands really have an opportunity to participate in culture versus just commenting on it. And I think they can really do that through the power of content. When you think about streaming and CTV as this influential environment and knowing that the living room is still a very impactful and engaging audience and space. So when brands show up in branded content, audiences are expecting it. They'd rather be engaged versus disrupted. And so I think that just reinforces the effective piece of what advertising can be through branded content.
Yeah, I love the theme around authenticity and then, to your point, participation.
Right.
And so for us, I know that participation in culture starts with recognizing that culture isn't just what's trending online. It's really a part of how people live their lives. And Walmart has that unique vantage point because we're deeply embedded in communities across where we are. And it allows us and brands to move simply from sponsoring to participation and participating in a moment and being part of the customer and the community. So we see that's where creativity and commerce really play a big part. So what do you think, I'll start with Allison, sets brands apart who truly participate in culture versus just simply marketing around it?
Yeah, I mean, people don't experience culture through an ad. Culture travels. It travels through word of mouth conversations, through those experiences, through entertainment. And so I think that's really increasingly audiences are looking to content to seek out those creators, influencers, athletes, talent in entertainment, because they have a credibility and a relatability that then support the culture in how they're referencing it. So brands that can lean into that and talent that's used for those purposes, I think just reinforce and give those brands permission to participate in the culture in that way and allow them to really engage in the content versus being interrupted by it.
Engaging versus interruptive. I love it. And Amy, what do you think?
It's everything that you said. I would say one thing we really tried to look at is the community and how the community behavior creates culture. So the more you understand your super fans and how they interact with each other as a brand, the more then you can design these surround sound experiences that feel culturally relevant to them. I love the idea of taking over the living room and the shoppable living room, because community creates opportunities to be together and do, all of you have something in your head when you think about what you do together with your local fans and what that looks like. And so replicating that at scale and understanding the community, which probably are your most, interested buyers, also is a way to really engage them, because that means you understand them and you're creating participatory experiences for them, not just expecting them just to sort of absorb the content you're putting in front of them.
Right. And talking about commerce and what shapes shopping behavior, we found that the most effective shoppable brand experiences start with that compelling insight. We recently launched Backyard Escapes, which started with the insight that, I think 70% of Americans are traveling less. And so they're looking for entertainment within their home and specifically looking to be inspired. And so we worked closely with VIZIO to create an experiential program and a branded content series and invited brand partners into that space to help provide inspiration, all centered around the content and then distributing through VIZIO, through our Walmart stores, online, in social, with influencers, but with content as the hub, spreading all around that. So, it really demonstrates how creative storytelling and can create a seamless path from inspiration to purchase and really going, from couch to cart, if you will. When it comes to creativity that effectively powers commerce, how do you make shopping feel like a natural extension? I think you've talked a little bit about that, but how do we make it feel like a natural extension of storytelling rather than just direct selling?
Well, I'll speak to Backyard Escapes a bit because that was a really exciting collaboration as being a branded content special that was built with the extension from the Walmart Patio and Garden event. So it was actually built to be shoppable and watchable. And so being able to tap into our viewing insights as well as the shopping behavior insights was a big part of how we built that as an entertainment piece to live and breathe on Watch Free Plus on VIZIO and be able to promote it on the home screen. So those viewing insights, we know that our audiences are really predisposed to content that lives and breathes, whether it's utility, lifestyle integrations, or passion points. So that was a piece that the thread that we took, worked with the Walmart Patio and Garden team to really showcase what that could look like in a show. And then to my point earlier of tapping into the right talent and influencers to really make it credible and authentic to our audiences. So having Tan France and Jesse Ecker be the creators of the space made it really authentic and engaging to our audiences. And so then having that opportunity for them to shop that. And we saw the results. And that's obviously the biggest supporter that makes it all, those outcomes work. And we saw 50% growth in our digital sales year over year. And about half of those purchases were new to the patio and garden category. So really important to really support what that path could look like from inspiration to shoppability and prove that out to the brands that were part of it, because the brands that were integrated were really part of the storytelling and part of that environment versus being put into the show. So they were woven into what that story looked like and talked about by the influencers and creators that were creating the space.
That's great. I was one of those data points because I saw a pillow in the space that I purchased right away.
There you go.
I would say that it starts with understanding, and you mentioned this, a single consumer insight, as well as the problem you're going to solve that the content and the creators and the storyline will illuminate. And it's a 1, 2, 3 on how you put those things together. We think, with our brands is how do you act as a brand of service? So if I know that consumers aren't traveling and they want to have a beautiful backyard event that's fun and inspirational and, be a wonderful hostess, if you will, how do you do that in a way that feels, easy to shop? We have trained, everyone to see it, save it, and shop it because they can. And so it needs to be something that feels like you're solving that magical problem so that our, consumers know that we see them and we're here for them to have their best backyard event.
Yep.
And if you do that well, it feels perfect, just like it did for you. You're like, of course I need this. And so I think deep insights is really important, matching that with the right type of authentic stories, as well as creators that can also tell that story for you.
See it, save it, and shop it. I might have to
Yes.
steal that.
Please.
And brands of service.
Yes.
I think that's the way to authentically participate and to find a need state and see and show how your brand can solve it. So I love that. We've talked a lot about what's possible when culture, content, and commerce come together. But making that happen, we know, requires a great deal of work and more than just a great idea. These experiences don't neatly, especially as commerce media evolves, these experiences don't neatly fit into a traditional marketing playbook. And so one of the biggest shifts we're starting to see is moving away from thinking about brand and performance separately, but together. And we know that agencies, platforms, and media partners need to move beyond optimizing for individual channels and start looking at the connected consumer experience and really orchestration. I think connected TV is a great example of that. A compelling piece of content can spark interest, like you were all saying, create that emotional connection, drive commerce, drive discovery. But the opportunity really is when the content ends and lives beyond the content. So in terms of creating a seamless path from inspiration to action and moving customers from couch to cart. So as we look ahead, what's an assumption that agencies, platforms, media partners, and brands all have about that connected consumer experience that needs to shift or change?
One of the perceptions is thinking channelless. It's not a perception, it's just a challenge. So we think about surrounding that consumer that has delivered some high intent signal that we think is our backyard buyer around paid, earned, shared, and owned, and how those things should work together. So if you already know me and love me, I might need to really be inspiring you and using earned and shared as a place to be able to do that. Once I have found you, how do I keep you? How do I really think about my own channels, whether it's, in participation with Walmart Plus, or if you're as a brand have your own CRM, how are those working together so that you're continuing the conversation? So that if you were moving from backyard barbecue to Halloween planning, how are we maintaining that momentum? Because that audience most likely is wanting to do the same type of lovely activity for the fall. And that's different than getting them for the first transaction and moving on. We want to be able to deliver connected experiences that connect in a moment, but then connect over time.
Love it. It's about building that durable brand growth. It's just not transactional. Allison, what do you think?
I completely agree with everything that you said. And I think when brands and agency partners are looking at platforms like us, it's really important to look at us as collaborators and not just a channel for that distribution of the content, because we know that the audience insights, our viewing insights, our shopping behavior insights and behaviors can really support what that campaign can look like and deliver. And so understanding what those are and utilizing partners like us to deliver that across the funnel in the different ways, whether it's, home screen awareness, discovery, or CTV to reinforce and support it, or branded content to take that a step further and deepen that. We can use those insights collectively across the environment versus looking at things in a silo and making sure that they're delivering across the board from the beginning through the creative that they're using.
Yeah, I think breaking down silos, especially in this evolving landscape and working together, collaborating together, it's only going to net, the best results. So, well, at the heart of today, we talked about really one simple idea. When we bring culture, content, and commerce all together, brands don't just resonate, they can motivate. And consumers don't experience these separately anymore. And the brands that win, as we mentioned, will be the ones who can find that balance and really look at that orchestration. So when we connect creativity and storytelling, content and commerce that feels authentic and valuable, we create experiences that drive action. I'm really excited for what the future holds, and I'm feeling very inspired by this conversation. So thank you, Amy, and thank you, Allison,
Great, same.
for joining
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
Yeah.